We live in a world obsessed with body image and the way that we look.
Will people think I'm this hideous monster when I go out?
But what happens when the way you think you look completely takes over your life?
I used to sit in the lounge and with the curtains drawn because I was paranoid that someone would look in.
Children and teenagers up and down the country are battling with body dysmorphic disorder.
I was so ugly that I just wasn't worth, to keep going. And so I just tried to end it quite a few times, I think.
BDD is an obsession with flaws in a person's appearance that others will barely even notice.
Many cases whereby they've actually done self-surgery, so kind of injecting their lips with saline solution, trying it on themselves. So it is far worse, one of the most distressing conditions I've worked with.
The Maudsley Hospital is the only specialist unit in the country to treat those affected, and we've been granted exclusive access to tell their story. "18-year-old Emily is obsessed with makeup.
It's basically like covering my flaws and just like a camouflage. For me, it's just my face in general. I just hate the way that I look.
Her body dysmorphia has got so bad that she's missed virtually all of her secondary education.
I've tried to hang myself, but they were all failed suicide attempts, and I felt disgusted with myself and hideous. I just didn't feel pretty enough to even be in front of my family.
Right, let's go.
But Emily is now getting help. Therapy and medication seems to be working. And today she's making the 200-mile journey from her home in Stafford to the Maudsley Hospital in London with her dad, John. At the start of the treatment, she wouldn't even leave the house.
For 4 years, Emily was a school refuser. We couldn't plan, we couldn't go on holidays, couldn't have any family holidays. Even things like Christmas, family Christmases, you couldn't organise those because we could get to a point where we were about to leave the house and she wouldn't be able to go.
This service will shortly be arriving into London Euston today.
For children and teenagers with BDD, getting a diagnosis can be tricky because it's an illness that very little is known about.
I might get something, sort of fillers in there, just to do that. And then my chin is really masculine. It's really sharp and square, like a man's chin.
On the other side of London, Megan is still struggling terribly. Megan was a straight-A student, but has left school with very few qualifications.
My mum would drive me, and we'd sit outside school, and I'd just cry. I worry that, they're all looking at me and thinking, and looking at everything that's wrong with me.
Leaving the house is still a difficult task.
A little bit nervous because at this time there's going to be some kids walking down from there. The two girls from the school who are going to come down here.
For her, the build-up can take hours, especially if it's busy outside. And what's it like inside?
Very jittery. Yeah.
If I said, let's walk to the end of the road?
No, I think I'd rather just go back inside.
You can't give it a go?
Mm-mm.
Please be honest, I just want to know. Am I ugly?
Both Emily and Megan say social media doesn't help with their illness. We've masked these youngsters' identity, but they're seeking reassurances about their appearance online.
Pretty or ugly?
On the likes of Instagram, there are still hundreds of thousands of harmful body image posts. And on Facebook, certain groups where members discuss taking laxatives and 200-calorie-a-day diets. Facebook and Instagram insist they are deeply concerned about the well-being of people using their sites and don't tolerate content that encourages self-harm. Back in January, 17-year-old Elias's BDD got so bad that he was treated as an inpatient in hospital for 2 months.
I got to the point where I was like, makeup isn't enough. People can still see my face. I hate the way my face looks. I just can't bear people looking at me. And so I started wearing this, like here, and then the hat.
But Elias has since made an incredible recovery, despite missing out on 2 years of school.
I couldn't even go into the garden. Most of the times I couldn't leave my room, so I was just pretty much confined to the house, really. Mum had to stay home. She had to stop working because she didn't trust me to stay on my own. if she was in a room, I wouldn't go into it.
And why was that?
Well, because I got so bad that I felt, okay, it's not just other people, it's my parents as well. They can't see me because I'm too ugly for my parents to see me.
Hiya. Good, thank you.
We're just down here, so we just...
Okay.
In southeast London, Emily arrives at the Maudsley Clinic, and today it's all about taking her out of her comfort zone. Therapist Amita wants to see how far she's come.
So I know this is hard, but really try and challenge yourself as much as you can.
And the challenge today for Emily is to remove her makeup and to head outside.
I look ugly and...
Okay, so have a look around you and see if people are sort of looking.
She's conscious that people are staring at her, thinking that she's ugly.
I feel like in this situation it's even more challenging because obviously we are sort of drawing attention to ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's making me anxious.
She gets to the end of the road before panicking. It's too busy. She decides to go back inside.
It just made me honestly have like a panic attack. I felt really insecure and a bit hopeless in a way.
And consultant Amita has dealt with hundreds of patients like Emily over the years.
We've had lots of young people come in and they've camouflaged kind of the whole face. So people we've assessed where they've had kind of towels on their head because they just can't even be bared to being seen by even clinicians that are experts in BDD.
The Maudsley Hospital's now going into schools along with the mental health charity Rethink to raise awareness and to carry out research. So far, their analysis of around 600 11 to 16-year-olds has found that whilst 80% were concerned with at least one part of their body, up to 5% could have BDD. Many people with body dysmorphic disorder wait years for a diagnosis.
When I was just talking to you right now, I really wanted to look in the mirror. And I'm sure people are thinking, that's because she's vain. It's because I'm really worried that all these people who are watching this are going to think, you know, she's really ugly.
But in time, people learn to manage their symptoms.
It's the way that I'm coping with it is differently. So I'm thinking, you know, so what? Who's going to look at me? Are the people looking at me, you know, are they important in my life?
And the likes of Elias give others hope.
It is in your head, and with enough therapy, like with the right therapy, you will get better and you will improve and you will go back to normal life again.
There are high suicide rates for those living with BDD. Some refuse to get help for fear that they'll be considered vain. But with greater awareness and research, it's hoped more youngsters will in future